Hello and welcome to Sports Today. It's 5 at 5 with me. And then soon after the 5 news points, I will be joined by my colleague Ridhima Pathak, Pragyan Ojha, Rajarshi Gupta. We'll have a full house again. We will talk about the incidents that have occurred in Sydney and what action is being taken. First and foremost, very, very importantly, like I've said, Mohammad Siraj was called a brown dog and a big monkey. If you think that you can get away, whoever said this, you think you can get away by saying these things on the sporting field, you are a disgrace. You are a disgrace to your city, you are a disgrace to your country, and you are a disgrace to humanity. So, no more tokenism. We need some real action. You know what tokenism is? The police escorting that person out of the ground, excuse me, imposing a fine, giving him a 6 month ban not to enter the SCG. All of this is complete nonsense because he will go to Brisbane, he or she will go to Melbourne, he or she will go to Sydney or some other city and do the same rubbish again. This tokenism has to stop. If our game has a zero tolerance policy against racism, we now want that zero tolerance policy be pushed into action. What is the action? I'm sure there is a law in Sydney, in New South Wales, in Australia. If anybody is racially vilified, legal action can be taken and the person prosecuted. That action needs to happen. The person needs to be charged by the police. Some serious legal action, police action, penal action has to be taken. Mohammad Siraj, called a brown dog and a big monkey in Sydney, we in India, we everywhere, every sports fan around the world demand action from Cricket Australia, from the New South Wales Police, and from everyone involved. Number two, very, very important, Ravindra Jadeja. Ravindra Jadeja, all of us know, we broken on Sports Today yesterday, dislocated thumb, fracture, out for 4 to 6 weeks, so we'll miss the start of the England series. Despite him missing the start of the England series, if needed, yes, if needed, you're hearing it right on Sports Today, if needed, he will come out with an injection to bat for India. So if India is in a position to save the game, fingers crossed they will be, for the team is rallying together. They need to bat out that whole day tomorrow in Sydney, good weather day. The team is rallying together. Ajinkya and Pujara are in. Ravindra Jadeja will come out with an injection, is what I'm confirmed by the sources in Australia. So Ravi Jadeja will bat. Rishabh Pant will also bat. So hopefully, tomorrow team will rally together after what has transpired and put up a miraculous show. Number three, Virat Kohli has condemned the racial act, these vilifications that has happened. He has condemned in a couple of tweets. Ravichandran Ashwin used should be dealt with an iron fist. Justin Langer has called it reprehensible in his press conference. The International Cricket Council has now issued a statement. So all over the world, people coming together to condemn this rather barbaric, inhuman behavior of a group of spectators at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Number four, the International Cricket Council is awaiting a report from David Boone, but they have already issued a statement whereby condemning the behavior of a section of the crowd at the SCG. They are helping Cricket Australia and they have given full support to the Indian team. They also now realize the matter has gone too far and the zero tolerance policy need to be brought into effect in action. So the International Cricket Council, and I've spoken to sources at the International Cricket Council, they will also not let this matter pass. That's number four. Do subscribe to our channel because as you've seen, every news breaks here and we will go to the depths of the matter, say what is to be said, call spade a spade. Number five, and this is very important personally. You know what? I'm pretty delighted that today we have seen the start of the Mushtaq Ali Trophy, our domestic competition in India. Bengal won the match against Odisha, chasing 113-14. I was watching the Punjab match, 134 Punjab against UP, Suresh Raina. Very, very good innings. But in the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, the BCCI now has made a rule that media is not allowed to cover. Only IPL talent scouts, officials of that particular association, and the players anyone involved in the biosafety bubble are allowed to be there. My plea to Saurav and Jay and Arun Dhumal and the rest of the top management: the number of media who cover domestic cricket is not very big. It is a small number, maybe 10, 15. Do take COVID tests. Do take, rapid antigen tests at the ground. Do ask for an RT-PCR test 72 hours before. But please, it's a plea. Allow the media to cover these games. Two reasons: livelihoods depend. Many sports journalists have lost their jobs in 2020 because the media houses have shrunk the sports department with no sport. Now that sport has started, it is extremely important that media is allowed to cover sport. So maybe cap it at 15, but my plea is, please do allow media to cover our sport, because otherwise the whole industry, the Indian cricket industry, the media industry will suffer. So on behalf of every journalist, please allow us. And to unearth talent, while we will see it, to unearth talent, to write about what's going on, to talk about it, it is important that you allow us. Cap it. But Saurav, Jay, and the rest, you've done IPL. You've created humongous bubbles. To add 10 or 15 more people in a particular ground will not be a problem with COVID tests. That's where I will end sports today, 5 at 5. As I said, we will soon now be joined by Ridhima, by Pragyan, by Rajarshi, my whole team, because each of them are committed to this cause. And the cause is, this tokenism has to stop. Trisha, can you get, yeah, there's Ridhima. I'll hand it over to Ridhima. You take it over from here. Pragyan's joining, Rajarshi is joining, Ridhima, you're there. Take it over. I will be back in exactly 30 seconds.
Sure, Borida. First of all, I have to tell you that has just dropped in like a bomb. Racial abuse in 2021, are we really an evolved society? I don't think so. And the fact that you've got a Virat Kohli, Harbhajan Singh, Ravichandran Ashwin taking onto Twitter, I think this is probably the beginning of a much needed end to a racial abuse. And this is where, as a fan, it makes me very, very happy that you've taken that first step with cricketers coming out and telling their story. Which brings me to Pragyan. Pragyan, have you faced it before?
No, not really. Not really. But I was there when that whole Virat Kohli incident happened. Everybody saw, the unfortunate part till now was, everybody sees the person who is in the limelight. Anything that a sports person or anybody who is in the limelight does, it either, criticize a lot, or, they praise it. But you have to look at the other side also. Why did a Virat Kohli do what he did in 2011, 12? Why did he do? He's a captain. He's a super player. He's all in his senses. Why would someone do out of the blue? Because there are certain things that you don't like to hear. We don't know exactly what happened. Even Virat recently, just tweeted saying that, I have been there. I know what Siraj or Bumrah must be going through. So we must understand, it is not always the person who's in the limelight. It's the others, they force at times. And somebody, I'll tell you, I just tweeted something, and some person just tagged me saying that, I'll just tell you, it's a very funny thing. I don't know from where they got this news. It's like the Sydney Morning Herald. They have said that some Indians were also there, and they heard these guys, previous night I'm talking about, not today, previous night that Bumrah and Siraj had reported, saying that, they were not racially abusing them. It was just a banter. If it was a banter, why would Mohammad Siraj and Bumrah go and report? Banter we have always enjoyed, in Australia and England. It is that, you get involved in the game as a spectator, and you try and, we've seen many times, spectators, they try and pull their favorite players, or maybe the opposition. Just, that's kind of, that is the electrifying atmosphere that you want when you're playing cricket. That is good, that banter. But why would a Siraj or a Virat Kohli or a Bumrah do that? Because they have heard something which is not right, and it is as clear as that. You have to see both the side of the coin. You cannot see one side and say that this is what it was, and this is why Virat is rude, or maybe Siraj is not true, or Bumrah is not true. And some newspaper, when they're carrying this news, they should be making sure that whatever is coming out, it is not falsely claimed. We just saw that that protocol about Rohit Sharma having dinner and Pant hugging somebody because they had paid the bill or something, but that same person came out saying that no, it was out of excitement I had given this statement. So we have to make sure anything that comes out has to have some what do you call, at least some evidence that it is true. You cannot just take that claim out that Siraj or Bumrah were not being said anything about their color or their race. That's what was disturbing
Yeah.
me.
I like that, Pragyan, because what you've done right now is given a different perspective as to why celebrities react the way they do, and the fact that a Kohli, a Ravichandran Ashwin, a Harbhajan Singh have taken out to Twitter and started speaking. I think this is the right approach to go about it because it's a much needed end. Boryada, we heard that Cricket Australia apologized. Investigation is going on. If the matter is not served in the way it should be, what should India do?
Well, there's plenty to be done. Plenty to be done at the diplomatic and back channel level. So, for example, India should talk to Cricket Australia and say we will not play in Sydney. If Ravichandran Ashwin is saying what he's saying, and he said, we faced repeat offence in Sydney, we will not play at the Sydney cricket ground. And if the moment India say we will not play at the Sydney cricket ground, and a test match is taken away from New South Wales and two T20s and one day or whatever it is, next time it's taken away, the New South Wales cricket authorities will lose millions. Hurt them where it hurts the most. Say we will not play in a particular venue if there is racial abuse. We will want no more tokenism, and I'm clear about it. And I want Rajarshi to also react. You know what? Just to say $500, $1,000, $2,000. What is this nonsense? I mean, you want to find someone? This person will go to Brisbane, go to Melbourne, go to some other ground and do the same. This tokenism in our sport, this cannot go on anymore. And I've spoken to ICC. I'm putting it on record. I've spoken to ICC, I've spoken to Cricket Australia sources, I've spoken to Indian team management there. I've spoken to a lot of players, and believe me, they are livid. The team has come together in a manner you won't believe. Everyone's together. Everyone's saying enough is enough. That's why I told you, he was called a brown dog and a big monkey. What nonsense. Brown dog and a big monkey, someone's lost his father, still there. He's a role model, for goddammit, not a brown dog, big monkey. Can you be like him? Anyone in that crowd? Can you do what he's done? Lost his father, staying on for his country. Can you be like Mohammad Siraj? Try and be an ounce of Mohammad Siraj, then I will understand before you abuse him.
Rajashri, as a journalist,
yeah. Sorry to
go ahead.
yeah. Look, there's been two things about this whole episode, right? On the one hand, you've had this really nasty, ugly, racist slur coming to the fore. On the other hand, I still feel there's you coined that term, that tokenism is a little baffling. Look, for the ICC, like we've discussed all through since yesterday, the guidelines are pretty similar. The guidelines are pretty clear. No racial abuse, no racial profiling. Crowds cannot do that to each other. Players cannot do that to each other. And, I heard somebody say, no, they were just taunts. They were just banters and Aussie sense of humor. Hold on. Let me just tell you what is banter. Banter was, okay, what Manas Labuschagne was doing to Shubman Gill yesterday. Asking him whether Virat Kohli was his favorite batsman, Sachin Tendulkar, trying to put him in a bit of a spot. That is understandable banter. Asking what Rohit did in quarantine, a little harsh, okay, that is Aussie sense of humor. But calling someone a brown dog, calling someone a big monkey, and look, enough is enough. And I will second Boria's thoughts and add to that and say, you know what, enough is enough after what Ashwin has said. A lot of these cricketers have gone on record to say that Sydney, that these problems have been persistent across venues. And Ashwin today said that the Sydney crowd has been a repeat offender. I would say I'd want BCCI to issue a strong statement, slamming whatever's been happening, slamming Cricket Australia's ineptitude yesterday, by the way, and saying that, you know what, we are not playing any more cricket in Sydney after this test match. Let India play this test match. Hopefully we come out with a draw with a half depleted side, and we can make a statement on the other front. But for now, I think the next time we tour Australia, we make a clear statement and say that we're not going to play in Sydney unless you assure us that things are going to get better and you take some concrete action against these hooligans. No more playing in Sydney now.
I like that, Rajashri. I really like that spirit. But I want to know a cricketer's perspective to that. Pragyan, do you agree with Rajashri?
I think it's if you look at the broader picture, that's how you should do it. Imagine the same thing happening in India, and we've seen Boryada has a lot of this stories. When Australians or English they come to India, if slightest of the thing happens, they say India is so and so, and it's on record. They give that kind of remark. So when such thing has happened, and this is more sensitive, much more than what they would have faced. We are known for our hospitality. We make sure that our visitors are taken good care of. So this is a very straightforward thing that we're talking about. If they can't take care of it, we are not going to play in Sydney. As simple as that.
Well, honestly, I'll tell you, gentlemen, as a true fan and as someone who's been watching this sport for a while, this is the most disappointing thing to hear. That you hear some of your role models being called a brown dog. It is so condemning, and I mean, these people should be jailed and banned, and all of that is fine. But I also believe that cricket as a sport should take a bigger action so that this message is spread across the world. And let me ask you something here, Boryada. Shouldn't the sponsors of this particular series be doing something about it?
Everyone should be. I mean, the people who were surrounding those guys, they should be. Every person in that stadium should be. Security, NSW officials, Cricket Australia officials, sponsors. Look, this test match is supposedly the peak test. Why is it the peak test? To raise awareness and funds for cancer, to protect humanity. It's a bigger cause. Sachin Tendulkar presenting a shirt to Glenn McGrath of his 200th test match. Why? Because there is a degree of camaraderie. People coming together. Tendulkar going to play a cricket match in February of last year for the bushfire victims. Why? Because cricket has a bigger role than Ellis Perry bowling to Tendulkar. That moment, what for me was one of the moments of 2020 in sport. So our sport is far bigger than some people making a complete mockery of themselves, their city, their country, and denigrating our sport. So that's why not only sponsors, everyone has to do something. By the way, I'll put it on record. Senior BCCI officials are watching our broadcast and just sent me a message saying we've put out statements, which is, they also apparently are talking amongst themselves that they want a logical end. What we are saying, they are in complete agreement with. So those are WhatsApp messages. I don't want to tell names here, but a lot of BCCI officials are watching this broadcast saying what we are saying.
I just want to say one thing. We've got one of our viewers saying that this is a ridiculous discussion. I just want to tell him that when your child will play someday for any country, or you goes and plays in, say, a ground for a particular club or school, when he faces this, you would stand here and be supporting us. So it's definitely not a ridiculous discussion, because cricket as a sport has a bigger responsibility. We've got 15 years old, 14 years old, 13-year-olds watching this sport. This has to go down through the generation that racial abuse is not happening, and we should put it an end. We're in 2021, and yet if this happens, if somebody calls you a brown dog and you call this discussion ridiculous, I'm really, really amazed at that word.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Whoever the viewer is, it's a Sunday evening, right? It's a Sunday evening, whichever part of the country, whichever part of the world you're in. Trust me, there is something called the off switch. Switch off from this broadcast and get lost. You understand what I'm telling you? I'm telling you on your face. Get lost. We don't want you to be part of our broadcast. Ridiculous, not ridiculous is our problem. For you, you just get out. That's what we are telling you. You think we are ridiculous? On a Sunday, go have your candy. Go sit there, have your candy and milk. That's what you deserve to do. You do not need to be a sensitive human being watching a broadcast which is addressing a sensitive issue. So we do not want your presence here. Get out.
All right. Having said that, gentlemen, I just hope that tomorrow is a great day for cricket, and I hope that there is a turnaround. I hope Jadeja, if he's going to play with, well, as Boryada mentioned in 5 at 5, with all the updates, if Jadeja is making that sacrifice for the country, I really hope that India makes a turnaround. And I'm just saying it as an Indian fan that I really, really want a special knock from India. So here's hoping for the best.
I'll put it in a better way. I put it that Jadeja is an asset, so we don't want him to come into bat. That means like our batsmen, they do the job.
But Pragyan, on a more serious note, can one bat with an injection with a dislocated finger? Is it possible? I mean, can you
No,
somehow do
because
that?
Boryada, I'll tell you, it's a left hand. So when you grip the ball, every time the ball hits your bat, so this part is gonna get hit with the handle. So it's very difficult, practically difficult. If he has to come in, there is no way. So he has to come in. But we have to understand every time he faces the ball, if there is a impact on the bat of the ball, and mind you, the pace that they're bowling at, every time the ball hits the bat, it's going to affect his thumb and that part which is dislocated, because that is something which, if it was a top hand, you can just keep your finger away. But when it's your bottom hand as a left hander, every time you defend, it's going to be this hand, or else you'll not have that control or the power to stop the ball.
Nice. Interesting. All right, gentlemen, closing comments. Boreda, would you like to sum up the scandalous India-Australia affair that's going on, and it's the shameful things that are going on off field?
I'm disappointed. I have to say, while we break these news items on Sports Today, Rajesh and I keep talking about them. Pragyan, you, me, we keep talking about them. It's disappointing. I've watched so many test matches and cricket matches at the Sydney Cricket Ground. I love that ground. But to see this time and again, as Ravi Ashwin said, I really hope this is dealt with an iron fist. And to our viewers, if you really think this is not sensitive enough, come on, for God's sake, get a life. Get a life. This is, I mean, whether India loses, India wins, Australia loses, Australia wins, doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. Human dignity and human respect is way beyond winning and losing. And for me, that is the hallmark of this sport, because this sport makes for better human beings. That's what this sport is all about. It is about human values. And if that's eroded, that's corroded, that's eaten into, then there is a real problem with the edifice and the foundation of our sport. And that's why I will say 3 consecutive days, I'm disappointed, and I really hope, disappointed and angry, and I hope tokenism stops and action is taken.
I hope so too. Rajeshri, closing comments?
Yes, disappointed and very, very angry with everything that has happened. But Ridhima, Pragyan, may I also add that I'm very proud of our boys in Australia for holding up the way they have, starting from the fake reporting around their so-called biobubble breaches, all the fake reports around that, and then the way Ajinkya Rahane and the leadership group have stood around Mohammad Siraj, the way Mohammad Siraj refused to take that nonsense of taking in those racial taunts and abuses. I'm really, really proud. And there are 2 things that I want to add here, Ridhima. Boria broke both the big news today on Siraj being called a brown monkey, all the racist taunts directed at him, and also when he told us the fact that Ravindra Jadeja will bat tomorrow if needed with an injection. Now that is what embodies for me the spirit of cricket and the spirit of Indian cricket. So that is really heartening, really, really heartening to see. And like Boria said, I agree. Whether India loses tomorrow, wins tomorrow, draw the game, it matters little now in the face of everything that they've put up against. And it's commendable the way that the team has rallied once again with dignity and with pride.
Yes, and I'd just like to add that dignity and pride, they're holding their dignity in grace, but also I'm really, really proud, Pragyan, that our seniors, our superstars of the cricketing world have actually come out and started speaking about it. And the reason why that was so important is because it's no longer about one match. It's no longer about the second test or third day. It's been going on for generations. It has to stop, and it has got nothing to do with India and Australia. It has to stop in the cricketing fraternity or all over. The fact that the superstars have spoken, you think this is going to be a movement?
Yeah, that's how it has to be done. See, everybody started talking about the Black Lives Matters. Why everybody started speaking? Because, the people who had the power of changing things, they spoke about it. So this is very important. Senior player like Ashwin, Virat, and Bhajupa, all these guys and people who are, at that position, they are the ones who should talk about it. And as a human being, we should be backing it. I'll tell you why sports is important. If you look at history, every time there is any unrest or anything happening in over the world, to stop that or to get peace and get everybody together, we always had sport, Olympics, everything. Why? So that is very important. And when there is some threat to people who do that for you, who try and get countries together and are the messenger of peace, if these things happen to them, then I think it's a big question and we need to address it. We cannot run away from it.
Ridhima, before you close the show, there are certain questions asking me and actually this panel that why don't you all talk about Darren Sammy? Why don't you all talk about things in India? Darren Sammy was called Kalu in IPL, etc. Hello. We are condemning each and every such action. If it's a club football game in Kolkata where an African footballer is playing and he is called Kalua, which we have heard since growing up, condemning it in that voice, the same voice that we are condemning Mohammad Siraj. Darren Sammy, the moment it was brought to light, we are condemning it with the same rigor. So, hello, this is not about being Indian, being Bengali, being whatever, being Australian or American. Racism and discrimination in every form will be condemned on this particular platform. You get it? Every kind of discrimination will be condemned. Go ask Dhanraj Pillai when he was starting to play, and this is not only cricket. There was this, Dhanraj will tell you, from the boundary, the sidelines, he was being told, Kale ko pakad, Kale ko pakad, Kale ko pakad. And those were the chants that would go out about him. We condemn such chants in every sport, in every sphere, in every form, be it grassroots sport to in elite international sport. We will raise our voice. So you get your answer. Every possible news that we get, we will break and we will condemn any form of discrimination on this particular platform.
Thank you so much, Boreda. And you heard our panel here. And I'd just like to sum it up by saying that on Sports Today, we don't say there is a country or a society that's racist. We're calling incidents caused by idiots and illiterate people that we're condemning. That is what is racial abuse. There is no country or society that we are calling racist. That's what we're doing. Thank you so much for joining in. Please do point your feedback on Twitter and follow us on our social media channels. And if you condemn the same, let us know on our feedback and, of course, on our Twitter. Thank you so much for joining.